who's going to win in the finance game. While it came to cabs, it came to e-commerce, the writing was always on the wall that customer experience will dominate the entire segment. But this was not very clear actually when we started 6 years back. You had risk guys who were, saying risk is most important in finance. There were others who were saying that banking is more important. And but what has happened, I think, and I think the way world has changed in the last 6 years, and I'm very young myself, but the way world has changed is that customer experience has now become the number one factor for financial services as well, and that's a very welcome change in the way people are talking about it. Believe me, 6 years back we did not have panels of customer experience for financial services. You had panels for risk, you had panels for data thefts, you had panels for fraud, but I mean, no one was talking about customer experience. So I think a lot of fintechs have come in. I think it started with likes of Paytm, and they are the. I think they will have to be credited for what they did. They were the first one in the space who pushed banks back in their own game, and then made everyone realize that this is not just about having 10,000 branches. This is also about the kind of experience you can give to your end customer. So I think they really change it, and from there, I think there's no looking back. Today, of course, every segment of financial services, whether it's onboarding, something we do, or even as you keep moving on, service layers, payment layers, lending layers, I think everything has become about customer experience. And I think the more technology companies like ourselves, like Mikhail's, like Rajesh, as we start entering, you will see that banks will start giving up their space to pure-bred technology companies. And this fight, which was not so clear, is very evident now. I think now it's clearly about who builds that experience. I think that whole debate is kind of ended, and we are contributing to customer experience, of course, but seen a lot of good transformation in Indian fintech and looking forward. And I think we've all just reached a stage where we say this is day zero, and there's I think this is the start for all of us.
Thank you, Arpit. I'll move to Rajesh. Can you share your experience, please?
Sure, Rashid, and thank you for inviting us. Thanks to Bombay Chamber. One of the changes that we've seen over the last few years is the emerging demand from millennials and the world moving towards a quick service kind of a scenario across all segments, whether it's food or financial services. The emergence of players like Zomato and a few others has proven that everyone is kind of in a hurry and they want something instantly. We've seen how banking has changed. To my say father-in-law who's 70 plus, going to a bank, going to the branch, waiting there 5 10 minutes to encash his self check is an experience, and he loves to do that. But whereas for my daughter who's probably 21, she is very happy to use the app and transfer money and do whatever she has to do for the bank, and she's never visited the branch except once for opening the account. And today, as we work in the fintech world, we see that we've been able to further enhance that process where you don't really need to even go to the branch to open the account, to sign a few papers, and everything is fully electronic, digital. People are wanting to get that service now immediately at the doorstep or at their fingertips, and that's the changing phenomenon. That's the changing nature of how services are being offered, and that's the basis for frictionless and digital service delivery in financial services today. And banks are slowly kind of moving towards that, either by themselves or working in collaboration with fintechs, and quite a few of them with whom we currently work. And we've seen adoption across the segment. And the interesting part is, while ideally this is targeted to the millennial
Hello.
crowd, a lot of
Yeah,
the
Hitesh, we can hear you.
hi Hitesh. A lot of the young adults in the 25 to 50 age have quickly adopted the new paradigm and have moved forward with where they were to how the digital economy is working.
Oh, thank you. I think we have our moderator Hitesh on the stage now. I was just acting moderator in the meantime, and we also have Rajesh on the stage now. So I am going to go backstage, and over to you, Hitesh, to take over this moderation.
Thanks, Ashit, and my apologies for all the harakiri which you had to go through. Please bear with me. I hope I am audible and I'm visible.
Yeah, you are
Yes,
absolutely
yes,
audible.
yes.
Yes,
Absolutely
you are.
audible.
Yes.
Hope
So
this doesn't.
while you came, I set the stage for you for how this digitization and frictionless world is happening. So we were about to hear Mikhail. I'm happy to hear Mikhail, and then I'll go on backstage. In any case, I'll be hearing, and then over to you, Hitesh, to take over from there, because Rajesh will, Ashwin will have to give his introduction, and then you can start your Q&A.
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ashit, for giving me the stage. So I think, firstly, I think, companies like a Signzy, M2P, obviously Escrow, all of these guys, right? Like, I think pretty much I would say, this is the infrastructure of the future, right? Like in one simple line, like over the next 10 years, what we're going to be seeing is a massive democratization of financial services, right? Whether it's lending, whether it's, mutual funds, whether it's investments, anything like that, right? And all of that democratization is going to be happening on companies like this, right? And just like AWS is today for apps, basically, right? Like all of these companies here today are basically the AWS for different kinds of financial services in the future, right? Similarly, like, I think, Rajesh mentioned about post offices, right? Like at least my thought process on bank branches is pretty clear. I think like over the next 10 years, they're going to be like exactly like post offices. None of us are going to be at least going there willingly. Right. So to me, like, that thought process is extremely clear. I think, what Rajesh mentioned about his children, being 21, never wanting to go to, bank branches anymore. I think that is pretty much, India between the age of say 20 to 40, right? If not even below 20, right? And that's the majority part of India. That's the expectation. And that's what, we all have to kind of live up to. Fundamentally for us as well, right? I think from an Apollo perspective, largely in one simple line, we think of ourselves as the AWS of digital lending. So our focus is to democratize basically lending. And the reason we want to do that is pretty simple because, financial inclusion is basically like not present in India, right? Like 95% of India doesn't have access to formal credit. And it is because, basically credit is limited to a limited set of companies and 10,000 NBFC licenses in India who are going out and giving credit. We feel like pretty much every company with massive distribution and transactions happening inside it, like a Zomato, Swiggy, Ola, Uber, Amazon, Flipkart, whoever you think of, right? They're going to be basically lenders or distributors or financial services in the future. You can call them neobanks, you can call them whatever you want to, but basically, like, they're all going to be offering all of these services, to their end customers. It will be their, customers who are buying stuff from them, or it may be their merchants, whoever. And it's only when all of these companies end up starting to distribute financial services that's where we'll reach a point of financial inclusion, because obviously the cost of customer acquisition, etc., for them is absolutely zero. So to us, that's the most interesting part, right? And one of the big focus areas for Apollo obviously is to reduce the time that it takes for any company to basically start lending, right? When we started, it used to take us like 2 to 3 weeks. Today we've gone it down to 48 hours. Now the mission is pretty simple: get it down to a matter of like 2 to 3 hours. And companies like Signzy, M2P, obviously, they're our friends because they help us do exactly that and enable all of these fintechs that we work with to keep reducing the time it takes them to basically get kick started and go live and attack this problem head on.